family. But just remember, as soon as it all blows up, it will all be your fault.
No, Justin. You stay away from her now, okay? Stay away from my sister.
Your sister can't keep her hands off me, mate.
Oh, he got knocked off. Wow. Damn it, Leo. Oh, you sexy. That is... Oh, you badass. I know. Hey, Leo.
Hello, Abdin. You right?
Hi. I just watched you watching the road. That punch was, like, so cool.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I've been practicing, yeah.
Yeah, so I was wondering, you know, because you're famous and all that. Do you wanna make a YouTube video with me about Doctor Who?
Oh, yes. See that, David? Only if I can bring Sean, though.
Yeah, okay then.
Hey.
It's quite intimate, isn't it?
Yeah. Salutation, my comment, how you guys doing? I'm here with Leo and Sean from By the Apple Productions, and they've got a web series called
Drum Gerard. It's a comedy. We wrote it, didn't we?
Write it.
Abdin's in it. A few of our friends are in it.
So I'm in some of the episodes, and I'll give you more information about that later. Oh, you also may know Leo from Waterloo Road.
Oh,
so you know I've got him in my video. Who was that? I was just like,
That's where I know you from.
I was like, oh, I like Floyd. And you've got him.
God, that's right.
Yeah, so, anywho, today we are going to do the the Doctor Who tag, and I hope you guys enjoy it. So let's get to it.
Oh, massive Whovians.
You two slightly more than me.
First question: who is your favourite Doctor?
That's like the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people's favourite Doctor is the first Doctor that they see, and the first Doctor that I ever saw was David Tennant. So I'm gonna just go there and say David Tennant is my favourite Doctor. As you guys have seen my wall,
Fair play.
I've got David Tennant, and I know it's like a stereotypical answer. Oh, David Tennant because he's handsome, and yeah, he is handsome, but he's also a good actor, and his Doctor's he's badass.
Yeah, I think that's a fair description. Sean?
I think it's Matt Smith. I'm not just saying that because it's the obvious one, because he's been used for so many years, but I love the fact that he's so quirky and funny, but then he does have such a dark side, and I think there's one episode he loses it, and that's me where
He does it a
became...
few times, I think.
Yeah, but when I first saw him get angry, I think that's when he became...
Well, I think it's
my favourite Doctor.
well, in The Beast Below he does it, basically. It's not the best of episodes, The Beast Below, but there's a great moment in it where he goes, "Nobody human can talk to me today!"
Yes.
And that's the bit where it's sort of like, you know the bit, you all know the bit.
Yeah, I know now.
But yeah, I have to say that Matt Smith is also my favourite Doctor. But then again, I love Peter Capaldi at the minute.
Yeah.
But they're so different. But yeah,
We watched him the first time.
can't really compare. It's like,
And we're just like, oh, he's the Doctor.
Yeah.
We know
you
he's
saw him in the
Doctor.
TARDIS and you knew. But yeah.
I love Tennant as well, though.
And not forgetting that the classics here.
Yeah.
I feel like Sylvester McCoy and Colin Baker are so underrated. And Paul McGann, I think all three of them.
Oh, I love Paul McGann. I thought he would have been a really great Doctor. I mean,
When he, when he appeared in that sort of like that.
Night of the Doctor. Yeah.
It was something that I made a noise that apparently I make now.
Yeah. I was so happy when I saw him. I was just like, oh, Paul.
Moving on, this could be a long video.
What is your favourite Doctor Who story?
I think I've got one in mind.
Go on.
I really like, I think it was series 5. No, is it the Pandora's
Pandora
Box story?
got
It was one of my first.
It was a culmination. It was like
episodes
it was the culmination of like a whole series worth of sort of like intrigue. I think that ended I think so brilliantly.
That actually is.
There's a great and the way it ends with him sort of like going back through the series and things and like and going past all the things, and he's in the Pandora card.
What he said.
Yeah, I think that's definitely. I go as far as saying that story is my favourite story of mine.
I think my go-to favourite story is Waters of Mars.
Yeah.
I think that's because a lot of people you say, oh, I love Waters of Mars, and they're just like, yeah, okay, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah,
and so it's a good go-to story. I do like a lot of.
I'd say one of the best Doctor Who stories, definitely for me, is Christopher Eccleston's Dalek.
Yeah,
I think the first episode with him with Dalek, and I think it's kind of tried to be reenacted in certain different ways in the newer episodes.
Yeah, because they did it with Into the Dalek.
They pulled it off and nailed it in that first go. And Christopher Eccleston is, well, you can't really go wrong with Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. Everybody has agreed he is like amazing.
He made it cool.
Yeah, but not that it's always been cool.
It's always been
Abdin.
cool. That's the thing, but apparently he made it cool to the mainstream.
Yeah,
He brought it back
with a bang, with a northern bang.
Yeah.
And they're the best kind of bangs. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
It's my channel. It's fine. It's not. Who is your favourite companion?
I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I love Clara. I genuinely love Clara so much.
Wow.
Like, yeah, I know. But with Peter Capaldi,
he's also in love with Clara.
All right. No.
Oh, okay.
But no. I love Clara as I think she's found her own with Peter Capaldi. She didn't look right. She didn't look right with Matt because something I read a quote once that you're always looking for Amy when you see Matt. You're always looking around the corner, and Amy was there. Obviously.
And Jenna Coleman as well. She upped the game as an actress with Capaldi. It's one of those things where
they work well together. Yeah. Although I mean, let's not say Elizabeth Sladen. Like I think it's gone down as one of the.
I think with Elizabeth Sladen as well. It's just you already know that she's like one of the. So it's like people don't.
You don't have to say it because you know she's there.
You know it automatically. So it's like she's already there.
And what I also think, he's not really. I wouldn't say he was a companion, but more of a friend. The Brigadier. I don't know if you were in the classic series. Is the Brigadier was he was? I mean, he's been there since I think first time.
He was in Sarah Jane Adventure.
Yeah, he did a bit in Sarah Jane as well. I think his first appearance was with, like in a Patrick Troughton episode, and he's been through all of the. He was going to come back to do a David Tennant, but he was unfortunate too. Yeah. The Brigadier being one of the most long-serving companions, I'd say, like friend of the Doctor's. I'd have to say, I kind of like Clara.
I think it's going to be Donna.
Donna, fair play, yeah.
Because I love the fact she was really funny, and there was no fact that she liked the Doctor in that way. They were just friends, like he said, he wants a mate, and that's exactly what she was. She was really funny. There was no relationship in her.
See now, my one's a bit controversial now, because I'm going to say my favourite, because I felt really bad for her, but I really like Martha.
I knew you were going to say
Martha, because I loved how she was introduced. She was this trained to be a doctor, she had this whole family, and then, but I do think the whole love story was just sort of Russell T Davies. I think he didn't feel enough with Rose Tyler, so he just sort of added a bit of a, because if you think about it, it doesn't seem...
Martha's storyline throughout the entire series, like she's changed, you see a character change from there to there.
I love that, and I just like, she seemed really real.
And hard work. She had a brother called Leo.
Yeah, and he was played by Reggie. I was like, hey Reggie, and I like Reggie because I used to watch him as a kid and stuff. And her sister Tish is really, I fancy her. But who's your least favourite?
Oh, you've added this one, haven't you? This is when you've added.
Well,
controversial.
Amy is my least favourite. Oh, and I feel I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Come back. Come back. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the whole relationship with Rory and stuff. But her as an actual character, she just irritated me.
I know. I can see what you mean.
And it got worse as it went on. I think, and I was ready for her to go.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. When they went, we all cried.
We did.
But I was, I don't miss her.
I can see where you're coming from. I can see where you're coming from. Obviously, she was irritating at times, especially to Rory. It was like,
I love Rory.
That's it.
Yeah.
Oh, Rory.
I felt like giving Rory a hug, and I was just like,
we all love Rory. But unanimous, we all love Rory.
Yeah.
Fact.
Who is your least favourite?
Oh, like, I love them all. I don't know. It kind of maybe after this, I'm gonna get a lot of hate for this again. Rose, maybe.
Yes,
I felt hard saying that. I do love Rose, but compared to everyone else.
Okay, I'll be strong, and you can put all the hate on me, not Leo, because I'll take all the blame.
Thank you.
The reason why I don't like Rose, I was gonna make a whole video for this because it was gonna rant, but when she first came out, I was like, oh yeah, she's this girl from like, State and stuff. I was like, yeah. But then she was like full on in love with the Doctor, and it just got so mushy, and I didn't like that. And for example, in the Shakespeare Code, when it was Martha, the Doctor was like, oh, Rose would know what to do, but she would not. Yeah. Because she didn't think for herself. The only thing, a lot of the things she would do, she'd just be, the Doctor would say, oh, what do we need to do, and she'd just be there, and then she'd just be there. She
Power would be like,
and the way she treated Mickey.
Yeah, what is it with Doctor companions treating their boyfriends like rubbish? Clara does it with Danny. Yeah. Like treated him pretty badly. Yeah. Amy does it with Rory. Listen,
because we love Rory, we love
Ricky,
Mickey. I just love
banter.
What was the first ever Doctor Who story you guys ever watched?
Well, I think it's kind of like, I started watching it with the new series, so I started watching it with Rose. I remember I watched it at my nan's, and like I was so scared of that. I genuinely was freaked out by that burping bin and blooming the Nestine consciousness and everything. But the first episode I watched was Rose, but then obviously I went back and I watched quite a few of the classics. That's how it kind of developed.
I didn't.
He adds a lot of
and history, and adds a lot of like the classic series is a lot mentioned, like Easter eggs basically in the new series mentioned and throwbacks, which I think adds, with a show that's got 50 years of history, you've got so much to draw on, like so many sort of like different things to use, and it's a rich source material.
I'm missing out on some of that.
What was your first story?
Rose. Probably became a fan of Doctor Who, David Tennant's first series. That's when I properly got into it.
See, I like my first ever Doctor Who story because it was in the right perfect moment for me. So this was my first episode was the Christmas Invasion, and I just caught it. I put the channel on when the Sycorax cuts off the Doctor's hand and it just sort of regenerates again. And then Sycorax like witchcraft, and then the Doctor's like Time Lord. So I watched it, and I turned it on that moment. I said with the Sycorax witchcraft because I was really into Harry Potter. I still am. I was really into Harry Potter, and I wanted another thing to go into, and it was Doctor Who. I saw that and it just hooked me on. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Just from then on, and then I watched previous episodes and everything, and just fell in love with it. Yeah. What is your favorite series or era?
Era. I think they're two completely different things. Obviously, I think my favorite overall era. Like seriously, I really like first ever Doctor Who series with William Hartnell and Barbara and Ian and things and Susan. That whole series, because it was the first one. And it was kind of because the Doctor didn't probably have control of the TARDIS. They were just kind of going all over the place, and it was kind of there was something I liked the ramblingness about it, and these two teachers. I enjoyed that kind of them two teachers were basically kept hostage. I enjoyed that series and that era, that feel of it. But my favourite series, I'm gonna have to say, like personally, is Series 5, Matt Smith's first series, because of the entire story arc of it. And there are a few dodgy episodes here, and as is the right with Doctor Who, you're allowed 3 dodgy episodes. I mean, that's the show. Yeah. But overall, I loved it.
I think again, my favourite era is Matt Smith's whole section. Which, again, I like because he's my favourite Doctor. Yeah. And I really like how he changes throughout. You do see him change. I love the more sort of darker stories in there as well.
See, like when I first watched that series, because it took me ages to get into Matt Smith, so I didn't enjoy it as much, but then I watched back and I was like, you appreciate a lot of little stuff.
The nuances in his character, like he'd really gotten like thought about it. You can tell. Like I remember I watched him on the One Show, and he talked about he was writing short stories with his Doctor with Einstein. And like I loved that kind of. He had big shoes to fill, and I think he filled them. And I'd say he surpassed them in a way. And
I think my favourite series, I do love the classical stuff, and I've been watching a lot of Tom Baker and Peter Davison stuff. I think again it's just because I watched it when I got into the groove of Doctor Who, and that was the new Series 3, and it was because the ending it was a Potters, and it was I loved the majority of the episodes, and I loved Captain Jack.
Captain Jack. Magnus.
I was going to say Barrowman then. Barrowman. Harkness. I just loved it because it just seemed really cool, and
I enjoyed that series as well because of the 3-part ending, and it kind of like bomb. You went for, and I loved the Masters reveal and things.
It just hooked me so much, and that's when I got into the groove of Doctor Who as well, and that 3-parter story just so hooked me.
Like the fact if you go back as well, you can see like the Saxon posters.
I know.
Through his
I know,
and then just no idea.
And I remember in school and just doing the
constantly. I'm still
I'll do it. Still, I knock on the door.
And people just hear it and they're like, "What's your favorite post or pre-regeneration?" The first, because we've done this loads of times. My go-to answer for the new one is Night of the Doctor, because it sort of filled me because of Paul McGann. I was like, oh, I haven't seen him in ages.
It was brilliant.
But beforehand, it was the fake false David Tennant regeneration when he got a bit greedy and stuff, because it caught me off guard. And I was like, oh, because this was when the rumour was of David Tennant's going to leave, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to leave you hanging with a new Doctor coming in. Oh, risky move.
I'd say favourite post-regeneration story is definitely the 11th Hour, Matt Smith. My favourite regeneration story is Pan of the Waves of Christopher Eccleston. Classics, my favourite regeneration story is The Case of Andrew Zanny, because it affected basically Colin Baker's run, I think, as well. And it was Pete Davidson's sort of like shining moment, I think, and he left on a beautiful, crisp, clean ting. That's ting. That's mine.
My favourite regeneration as a whole is David Tennant regenerating into Matt Smith, because I know it's a bit soppy, but that's who David Tennant's Doctor was, and I really like the fact that he said goodbye to Captain Jack, because in a way it was the last time we saw him, and I felt like I was saying goodbye to Captain Jack.
And I'll defend that one just because everyone's saying, oh, why was he crying and stuff. It's because he was lonely, and with Chris, he actually put on a brave face for Rose Tyler and stuff. Whereas David Tennant, he actually got told, oh, you're gonna die, 4 knocks and everything, and it just sort of got into his brain, and so you can see why in that last moment when he's got no companion, he's just gonna sort of eat at him, and he's gonna sort of What is your favourite TARDIS desktop theme?
Matt Smith's first one, season
Yeah.
5, definitely.
Mine's exactly the same.
Yeah, mine is the same as well because it seems massive but it seems quite warm, and I would have loved for all the previous Doctors to run around in it because it just seems so cool. And last question: who is your favourite villain / monster?
Now that's a hard one, isn't
It's
it?
the question.
Isn't this the question of the day? Is that
Most
fun?
important
that from?
question.
Oh,
in all of
That's what's fine. Oh god!
They didn't put that even in. They didn't put
Can't
that.
believe I just referenced Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Because they didn't put that in.
No, they didn't.
Change it to Doctor Who.
Oh,
That's the
yeah,
most
top it.
important question in all the universe.
The favourite villain monster. I loved the old Cybermen classic series, like the first ones with William Hartnell, because William Hartnell regenerated on like the first Cyberman story, and like, they had like these cloth faces, and when they opened their mouth, it was just so freaky.
Eerie,
Like it was like it was so creepy, and they had real hands, and I loved them, and I loved the Cybermen always. They're really kind of cliche. Daleks are fucking great.
I think the Daleks actually scare me though. I think they're great and they're so epic.
They
in
can
what
be
do.
scary. I think they can be
In what they say, but not
ruthless.
Yeah.
Like I got more scared from the Cybermen than the actual Daleks when I was first watching it because they were more humanoid, and whereas Daleks I didn't understand them at first, and Cybermen I just thought they can convert you, because I thought they converted you like this. When I first saw it ever, it just really creeped me out.
I'm trying. Don't worry, I'm trying to think of my favourite villain because there is.
I'd say my favorite thing about it. I'd say my favorite villain / monster is, I'm gonna say the Master, because he's like the
Master,
equivalent of the Doctor, and the Doctor in the room for his money. They had that whole brother dynamic, because that's what it was, like a brother dynamic. And I know in Paul McGann's story, in that script, they were actually gonna
reveal, they were gonna say something like his brother or something like that.
That's what. So I always saw it as a brother relationship. It really scared me because it just made, because I've got a lot of brothers. So it just scared me. Imagine if one of my brothers were like the Master and I was like the Doctor. And I was like,
yeah, I'm gonna go for Cybermen. Maybe I'm gonna say. Oh, the Weeping Angels in Blink were just.
I think they're my favourite.
In Blink,
they were the first ones that scared me. Like, I was scared of the Weeping Angels.
Yeah,
and they first appeared in Blink.
It's hard to give definitive answers to it. I mean, as we know, I don't know how long.
I love the Master as well. He's
great. But yeah, I think they're the questions.
They are the questions.
Brilliant.
So that's the end of the video.
I don't want to go.
If you guys enjoyed this Doctor Who tag and you guys enjoyed Leo and Sean over here, please be sure to click on the face for the Jerome and Gerard channel, also the By the Apple Productions channel.
Mainly By the Apple.
Yeah,
video was gonna go on there.
That one. Yeah, so the subscribe button and stuff will be there. And
wait a minute. Let me just sort it out.
So that's the subscribe, and just put out your hand as well. So I'll put something there. I feel really tempted to put a turd on your hand. Just change it there. So you click on those annotations and it just sort of leads you to those. I'm in episode 3 of Jerome and Gerard.
Well, you in part 2 a lot.
Can you give a quick little thing about what Jerome and Gerard is? I know there's a video of it.
We've got a video explaining it, but yeah, basically they're two failed singers trying to make it in the industry. It's a comedy web series where these camera crew follow these two characters around. Abdin's in it as playing a character. There's a lot of people involved in it. It's going well. It's a funny, kind of like funny.
We need support.
We don't need support. It's not a beg. But yeah, if you're into comedy and you want us fair, 10-minute long, give or take. Go check them out, and it'll be worth your while, worth your time.
Did you guys enjoy it?
Loved it. Yeah, thank you for having us.
I've seen you been like hogging my son's screwdriver.
Yeah. So can I?
Yeah. Love, peace, and future, and
bye. He ends it.
Yeah. Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Done.
Done with that.
We did a video.